All right, guys, so we're going to do some Q&A with Big Mac here. So I did ask me a question on my Facebook, or no, on my Instagram, sorry. So we have a list of questions that Garrett's going to ask, and so we got him here. I got some shrimp to keep him interested in us. Big Mac. There you go, buddy. Oh, how's that, huh? You got a nice shrimp? And then we have Bella, actually is on the other side of the pond, right over there, hanging out in the sun. She's actually digesting. She had a whole bunch of chicken, so that'll keep her out of our hair for the time being, at least. But yeah, so we're going to do some questions hanging out with him. So what's the first one, Garrett?
Which of your animals love you, and do any of the gators love you?
All right, so that is one that, we've talked about quite a bit. So Big Mac. So Big Mac here would not care if that shrimp was a shrimp or my hand. He does not love me. I say this one all the time. I love him. He does not love me. And so that goes for all the crocodilians. It does not matter if I raised them from a baby, which I did not, just over a year ago, Big Mac here was a wild animal out in the wild. And even though he's very nice and calm with us now, if I were to make any sort of mistake in here, yes, he would totally rip off my arm, eat it in front of me. No remorse, no regret about it. Oh, but Chris, I think they do love you. Often I get that comment and people like, really, they really mean it. Like, I don't believe you, guy that's been doing this 20 years. I know more than you. I know they love you. I'm like, no, they don't. And so how do I know that? Well, for one, they don't. But it depends what love means to you, I guess, is really what it comes down to. What does the definition of love mean to you? And would you kill and consume your loved ones? If you wouldn't, then they don't love. Okay? That's really the answer right there. Big Mac. So, even with other alligators, even with ones that are their mates, I've talked about this story quite a few times. There was a pair of gators at one of the parks I used to work at, and they were together forever, like 20 years or something, really long time, male and female, and the male can easily kill the female, just like right now. If Big Mac wanted to, he can easily kill and eat Bella if he really wanted to, but he's not going to do that as long as she's fine and she's normal. But at that park, the female, I was there, I saw it happen, she had a seizure. And I saw her flip over in the water and start seizing, and as soon as that happened, literally before I could run from like here to the fence, he was eating her immediately. As soon as she was like no longer her and having an issue, she was food and he was eating her. So that's what I mean when I tell you, like, well, depends on what love means to you. If you would eat your loved ones, then maybe they do. But yeah, I don't count that as love. Okay, they're just not a social animal that does things like that, And of course, somebody in the comments is going to bring up some plane crash or something like that, and people eating each other. But I don't think that really applies to this question. Now, as far as the other animals go, I would say the only things that really love any of us as humans, the birds. I think some of the birds are very, very social, very loving. They really bond to you, and they really do love you. I would say birds are one of the animals that like really legitimately they love each other, and if they bond to you, they really do love you. I feel like the skunk is one that is very affectionate. She really likes to be pet. Does she love me? I don't really think so. Here's another way to put it. Again, depends on what love means to you. But if something horrible happened to me and like, I was attacked by an animal or something like that, like one of my dogs is going to jump in and try to save me. They love you. The parrots would be very upset. There's nothing they can really do to save you. But, just for the sake of the argument, they would be upset. The skunk would not be upset. Okay, I think the skunk likes me, loves to be pet. But if Big Mac was eating me and the skunk was watching, I don't think she would have any really care about it. And I think that applies to pretty much every other animal that we have here. The coatis are one that maybe they would, but they're bonded to each other much more. That's another part of the equation, is whether or not they have others of their own kind to bond to instead of you, which they're much more likely to do, of course. But anyways, so that's that answer in a long-winded way. What's the next question?
Next question is, when will Big Mac and Bella breed?
Ooh, Big Mac. You've been putting the moves. Big Mac. You want this? Big Mac. Hey. There you go. So, I have not seen any courtship behavior between them. I do hear bellowing back here. So, I don't know if the bellowing is courtship related or territorial related. I'm not sure. But so far, I've not seen any breeding behavior between the two of them or any of our alligators so far. Now, also, I don't know, bless you, I don't know how long it takes for a wild, excuse me.
Goodness.
I don't know how long it takes for a wild caught alligator to feel comfortable enough to breed. On the female side, the males, they don't really care. They're always ready. On the female side though, I don't know how long it'll take. So some of the experience I've had at some of the other parks I've worked at, we've had wild caught nuisance alligator females come in, and off the top of my head, I don't recall any of them, the females nesting or breeding. Breeding behavior goes on, but I don't recall any nesting happening until they've been at the facility for a couple of years. Now, that might just be anecdotal. I mean, that is anecdotal. I don't know if that's like a thing that's like a set fact or not. That's just my experience so far. This year, she didn't show any, they didn't show any courtship at all. So maybe next year, we'll wait and see. He's looking at you. Now, if they do end up, mating, and then she does construct a nest, we will collect the eggs and prevent incubation. We don't want more alligators. We're trying to give, create habitats and give homes to animals that need them, not create more animals that need homes in captivity. We'd much rather the animals be able to be in the wild too. So we would not be able to breed them and release the babies. If they had offspring by law, they would have to remain in captivity. We're not legally allowed to release them. And I don't want to have an alligator live the rest of its life in captivity if it doesn't have to, Now, collecting the eggs before they incubate means there's no baby in there yet. Just like a chicken egg, you crack it open, there's nothing in there yet. It has to incubate, and then the embryo develops into a full-on baby before there's anything in there. So if we collect the eggs immediately, there are no babies, it's just an empty egg until it incubates. So that's what we would do. Anyways, next question.
I'm slacking off. Next question is, can a rattlesnake penetrate gator skin?
That's an interesting question. So I don't know of any instances of this actually happening, but can it penetrate? Depends on where it bites. So on the top of their head, basically their whole skull area is very solid. That's not really going anywhere at all. So I don't think they could do that. Now on like the jowls, that's soft enough they could get in. Across the back are the osteoderms, which are those solid bone armor plates. So that's not going through there either. So it would have to hit in a soft spot. Like on the side of the neck, the jowls, underneath the jaw is soft, inside of the mouth, the tongue, that kind of stuff is all pretty soft. So it could totally bite somewhere in there where the fangs could get in. But how this would happen is almost certainly the alligator's trying to eat the rattlesnake. A rattlesnake is not going to attack an alligator for no reason. It's definitely going to be the other way around. The gator's trying to eat a rattlesnake. That will and does happen. And when that does happen, pretty sure the gator just crushes it before it can do anything. The snake doesn't really get a chance to even defend itself because when they actually want something, they're very fast, jaws slam on it very quickly. Big Mac. Now, also you have to consider how likely would something like this happen. Definitely not very likely. It would have to be if the alligator is at the water's edge or actively. You still have the shrimp in your mouth, bro. If the snake was swimming across the water, then a gator's definitely going to go after it, and that gator's going to kill it before the snake even gets a chance to bite it for sure. So again, very unlikely. Now, if it did bite it, what happens? There's not a lot of research done on this. I would assume it would be very localized pain and necrosis and damage, but on an adult alligator, it's not going to kill an adult alligator as far as I know. But I don't know. I don't know of any instances of this actually happening. So, this is just speculation. Excuse you. You're saying you want more? You want more? You still have a couple in your mouth, man. But yeah, so this is just all speculation. I don't know if this actually... I've never heard of a rattlesnake actually biting an alligator, but I definitely know of alligators eating rattlesnakes without getting bit because they just crush it up, And if it did get them, would it kill them? Depends on the size. I would think a really big alligator probably would just have localized damage, necrosis, maybe lose an arm or something like that. If it got him in the face, I could see that being the end of it. But yeah, again, speculating. So what's the next one?
What is your hurricane evacuation plan?
So if we do have a hurricane come through here, the good part is that where we are in the state of Florida is like the best place you could be in Florida to deal with a hurricane because we're right in the center up in North Florida, right in the center. So even if we have a Cat 5 hit the coast, by the time it comes through to us, it's going to lose a lot of that power and would likely end up being like a 3 or a 4 before it actually got to us, which is still powerful. It's nothing to play with. But either way, I'm just saying, like, it would be a relatively weaker storm by the time it got to us, most likely. Okay, so if it does happen, what do we do? So depending how bad it's going to be, that's what it comes down to. Whether or not we have evacuation orders, depending how bad it's going to be, is going to dictate. Now, a smaller storm, we're going to take all the birds, go inside the house. They all have carriers. And that's even if it's like a relatively minor storm, because it takes one branch, birds are gone, you know? Now, for the mammals, most of those mammals, a lot of them do have their own lockouts that are well constructed that they would be able to go inside of and be contained in there. So like coatis can all go inside their lockouts, again, depending on how bad the storm is. Now, if it's like a full-on Cat 5, the worst storm of the century, we have to evacuate, then we would load everybody up into carriers. We have a whole storage area just full of carriers. Load up all the mammals, all the birds. We got the truck with a trailer, and then we also have Gabby's vehicle, and then we'd probably end up renting and using, our staff to be able to move even more in like a van or something like that, load everybody up and evacuate if we had to do that. Crocodilians, you can't exactly load them up, and you don't need to. I mean, these guys live here anyway, so even if it was a Cat 5, they're just going to go and sit on the bottom of their pond. The water will insulate them away from the wind. More water with rain doesn't matter to them. So they'll be safe. So all the crocodilians basically, or all the big ones, can stay inside their ponds. And then as soon as it's safe, we'd be checking the perimeter, make sure that a tree didn't fall on the fence, and trying to repair that kind of stuff. So that's kind of the hurricane plan in a nutshell, talking off the top of my head. But for our permits, we actually have to have all this stuff written down. So we have a full evacuation plan written down.
Next question is, how much does he weigh? How much do you weigh? And who weighs more?
So I weigh like 215. He is probably 300-ish. I don't know exactly, but I'm 6'5", 210, 215 is usually my fluctuation area. He's 10'2", definitely a lot more than I weigh. So he's definitely bigger, definitely weighs more. He's a big gator. And then Dino, once they're this big, I can't exactly put them on a scale, so I don't even know. It's a lot of tail right there too. So like, I assume he's around the 300-pound range. Dino's probably like 3 to 4, especially if we're bulking him up. He's getting bigger and bigger and eating more and more, so he's getting bigger and bigger. What's the next one?
Next question is, what all is in the parrot chop?
So the parrots, Gabby does make chop for them, and so that is a ton of different stuff. I mean, it's got to be like 20 ingredients in there, and they blenderize it. And so Gabby and Aaron will have a whole day of making chop. Big Mac. Yeah. You want some shrimp? So they'll do a whole day of making chop. And they will put in there, a ton of different stuff. So I know a lot of times they do like beets, radishes, celery, oh man, I thought I would know more of it off the top of my head. But if you do want to know exactly what it is, you can look it up on Bird Tricks, because that's the diet that we're following. So Bird Tricks does really cool bird cookbooks basically on how to make that chop, and we do a seasonal feeding system. So each season we will change what the components of that chop are, what's in there, and so that's all actually on their website. You look it up, and that's what we're going off of if you want to check that.
How do caimans, crocodiles, and alligators compare in temperament?
All right, so we can run down that list. By the way, is the phone okay? Because it looks like you're in full sun and it might overheat.
It is getting a little bit toasty, so I was going to move here in a second.
Yeah, if you want to shift over, you can go right here into the shade right there, and I will bring Big Mac this way with me. Oh, what a good sport. Look at him following.
Now I'm also in the shade, so I like this a lot better.
Yeah. There you go, buddy. Big Mac. So, as far as their temperaments go, obviously alligators are the most calm of the crocodilians. As far as their temperament goes, they're a lot more chill. Now, let me preface this by saying this conversation is basically different calibers you want to get shot with. Okay, all of them can kill you. Okay, I always like to put that out there first. Don't think that because gators are more calm, it means they're safe. They're not. He's obviously a lot more calm, but if you take that for granted, and a lot of people do, more people get bit by alligators than crocodiles because they take the gators for granted, and they do a lot more dumb stuff, and they put their guard down a lot more with alligators because they are more chill, and then more people end up getting bit. This is handlers, I mean, not like in the wild. In the wild, the crocs more predatory. Obviously, those actually kill way more people. But just in a captive sense, usually working with them, handlers are a lot more careful with the crocodiles because they know that, and then they're a lot more lax around the gators, and they get complacent, and more people end up getting bit by the alligator in captivity just because they're not giving it the respect it deserves, because like, it's not a crocodile, and like that kind of an attitude. But anyway, so obviously gators are the most calm, the most chill, especially once you start doing training with them. As you can see here, we're just hanging out with him. He's totally fine with that. He's totally cool with that. So once you get to that point in training, they're really, really good. Now, gators can also be really bad if you don't know how to train them. You guys see Stallone? I'm purposefully letting him chase me like that, where we are allowing that behavior to come up as a great example of what happens if you don't know what you're doing, So we want him to chase us, and we're allowing that to happen as a good example of how bad that can be. And that could be any of these guys if we didn't know how to train him. Well, maybe not him because of his bum leg, but you get the idea. So also, if you have a brand new wild alligator, they're going to be a lot more gnarly, more defensive, everything like that. So you got to take that into account. So anyways, once we take that into account, gators, obviously a lot more chill. Caiman can be super gnarly. The caiman are actually more closely related to an alligator than a crocodile, although a lot of them look more croc-like, except black caiman look more alligator-like. But either way, the caiman are typically a lot more gnarly, especially if you're trying to catch them, deal with them, but they're a lot smaller, except for the black caiman. Black caiman get really big like an alligator, but the other, like spectacled caiman, dwarf caiman, those guys are a lot smaller. They're lightning fast, so they can actually be a lot more difficult to deal with. Like, if I'm going to catch one, I can catch a 10-foot alligator, no tools required, completely barehanded. If it's already on land, I can catch a 10-foot alligator, fully wild, no tool required whatsoever, just barehanded. All right, sorry, I had a technical error for a second. So anyways, yeah, I was saying that it's easier. I've done both. It's easier to catch like a 10-foot alligator barehanded with no tools on land than like a 6-foot spectacled caiman, because those caiman are just lightning fast, man. And I straight jumped a 6-foot caiman in the road one time, no tools, anything, and it was gnarly. Obviously, big gator is more powerful, but that caiman, they're just so fast. They're so much faster, and their heads are more like stout and whatnot. Anyways, as far as captivity goes, though, you can train them and get them to be really calm and really chill. I actually had a friend of mine that had about, I want to say like maybe a 4-foot dwarf caiman that was as calm as one of the alligators. You just pick it right up. It did not care. Really, really calm, not defensive whatsoever. And then I've seen videos of spectacled caiman, more rarely, but I have seen them, of a very, very calm spectacled caiman as well, which is, again, oh, he's gonna yawn. Oh, yeah. Get this. Is he?
It's open. His throat is open.
I know. His glottis is... He might just be... Oh, yeah. Maybe he's not gonna. I think he's just working down. We gave him a whole chicken not that long ago, so he might just be kind of working that down still. Totally thought he was gonna yawn. But anyways, so I have seen them be really, really calm and chill before. And then very rarely, I have seen a few instances of crocodiles being really, really calm, but it really depends on what kind. So like, people just kind of generalize crocodiles do this, and it's like, there's so many different species of crocodile that act dramatically different from one another, and then even within that species, dramatically different by individual. So across that spectrum, like individually, he still looks like he wants to yawn. Anyways, I'll just kind of continue. If he does, I'll stop. But generally speaking, just about every alligator eventually does, they might require more work than another. Oh, yeah. Oh, you can see the shrimp in there and that chicken. That's gross. Oh, that was nasty. That was gross, Big Mac. He might just be trying to work that thing down still, honestly.
Yeah.
That was also a yawn, though. I mean, he did a full extension, like, for a yawn. But anyways, so, yeah, just about any alligator, eventually you can get it to be pretty calm, relatively speaking. Even individual variances given, one might take a lot more time than another one. But with the crocs, I would say I haven't worked with enough trying to get them calm to find out, but it seems to be the opposite, where like generally most of them never really get to be that calm that like you can hang out with them like you can with an alligator. But on rare occasions, I've seen some that can become very calm, but that's more of the exception than the norm. But also, I've worked with so many more alligators too. So I would like to see if crocs just take more time and then they can become more calm, but we would need a lot more time. I've only had my crocs, for a year, Well, same with the alligators here too, and you see the difference there. And then, yeah, again, with the caiman, they're closer to an alligator. Their biology is closer to an alligator. They're more closely related. They're in the family Alligatoridae, but they can definitely be a bit more gnarly. Anyways, next question.
Next question is, can the new baby redfoots be housed with their parents when they get bigger?
When they get bigger, yes. So right now the babies have to be separated. They're very small. They could be crushed by one of the adults or sat on, or one of the adults could even try to eat them, and which I wouldn't put it past them. So yeah, they are separated right now. And then once they get considerably larger, many years down the line, we could put them in together, but they have to be big enough where like, basically, tortoises they are a very, but it's in a nice way, a very amorous bunch, and they are always mounting one another, and you don't want a big tortoise trying to mount a little tiny one and crushing it, so they're going to have to be a good bit bigger before that can become a reality. But eventually, yes, they could be put together.
Have you ever met a gator or croc that doesn't like chicken?
I have not. So they all seem to like chicken. All of them seem to like chicken as far as I know. There is definitely an apprehension towards novel things, so new stuff. So sometimes if you give them a kind of meat that they've never had before, they can be a little bit apprehensive of it. You guys, if you watch the vlogs, you've seen that when we give them the pocket gophers, especially the crocodiles, they're like, what is this thing? And they don't know what it is. And eventually they decide, okay, this is good enough. Then they'll actually eat it. So I would imagine if you had one that's never had chicken before, you might get the same reaction, but once they realize, oh, okay, this is good stuff, then they actually do eat it. But there is definitely an apprehension towards novel prey items for sure.
Next question, and I think this one can be two different ways, both in the term or the real thing, but where do crocodile tears come from?
So people use crocodile tears as a like a saying of like fake remorse. So if somebody's like, oh no, and they're crying like, oh, I'm gonna miss him so much, when dun, you find out they're the real murderer, like that happens all the time in like movies and stuff like that, where it's like, so crocodile tears, you're faking it. But this comes from a real phenomenon where sometimes when they eat, like what he's doing right now, he's trying to get that down and like crushing and like using all that jaw pressure. So they have your sinus cavities and all this kind of stuff is all connected. So sometimes when all that biting, crushing, and moving junk through there builds up pressure in there, and then that pressure can sometimes manifest in tears coming out of the eyes. And so that is a thing that does happen. And so sometimes you'll see a tear come down. And so after eating a big meal, you get that tear. Now, I've actually never seen that. I've never seen that happen with any of the animals I work with. But I read up on it because I was curious too, and so when I read up on it, that's what it says.
I may have gotten footage of that happening with him on the 360 camera today.
Oh, really?
I saw it and I thought maybe it was just water when he was just in the water, maybe, but there was water coming out of his eyes in the surrounding areas.
Well, now would be the time. If it was ever going to happen, now is the time, because he's still working on that big chicken. He's still, the way he's got his head tilted like this, he's still trying to like get that thing down his throat. So yeah, that is where that comes from. And so the saying comes from seeing that and like, oh, the crocodile just ate something really big and he feels bad for having eaten the gazelle. So he's crying, but it's a fake cry because he wanted to eat the gazelle anyway. So that's where this thing, crocodile tears, comes from. Like, oh, you murdered him and you're showing remorse for having done it, but you're the one that did it, So that's kind of where that saying comes from. But the real actual thing, it is a real thing. But again, I've actually never seen them do it. I'll have to see that footage and see if we can see it. You know, that'd be kind of cool because that'd be the first time I've seen it.
Yeah. Which gator or croc do you trust the least?
So trusting the least. So, okay, put it this way. I like to say this one. I don't trust any of them. I trust my ability to predict their behavior. Okay, so I don't trust any of them. You're hanging out right next to Big Mac right now. Obviously, you trust him. I'm like, well, no, excuse me. I was trying so hard not to sneeze.
Bless you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He's trying to say bless you.
You saying bless you? Yeah. Anyways, people are going to say I'm trusting him right now because look, I'm sitting here. I don't have a stick between us. I'm just hanging out right next to him. But it's not that I trust him. It's that I predict his behavior. Trusting him would be like turn my back and leave my arm right in front of his face. That would be trusting him. And that is something I would literally never do because I don't trust him. Okay. That's what I mean when I say like, I don't trust them at all. If I really did, I would like close my eyes, not pay attention, and just put my hand right there and see what he does. That's trust, and I would never do that because I don't trust any of them. But anyways, on a spectrum, who is the one that I find most likely to try to bite me would be Stallone, of course, you know, because we allow that chase behavior. We allow him to be crazy, and so we don't reprimand any of that. So he's much more likely to try to get you. Among the crocodiles, probably Lyra is like the craziest one, you know, the one that comes after you the hardest, and like she's just nutty. So even though she's like the smallest of the Nile, she's probably the worst one in there. Everybody else is relatively somewhat calmer. She's definitely, I think, the sketchiest one that we have right now. What's the next question?
What animal could you release into the gator enclosures that they would peacefully coexist with?
Well, if they mean release of like the other animals that we have as residents here, I wouldn't put any of them in here. I mean, that's just a bad idea. That's an accident waiting to happen. But on that note, there are other animals that peacefully coexist in here anyways that are wild. There's tons of frogs in here. There's tons of big old bullfrogs. And they will eat the bullfrogs if the bullfrog jumped right into his face. But otherwise, they relatively peacefully coexist because the bullfrogs stay away, and the gators don't really put any emphasis or effort into trying to catch them. I've only seen them try to eat them if the frog literally jumps right next to his face. Then he'll try, and even then he always misses. I haven't seen him catch one yet. But I have seen the bullfrogs literally sit right next to him, and he doesn't even make an attempt to go for him. We have birds that come in here. We have wild birds that come in. Herons and egrets land in here, and I have not seen them show... What are you trying to eat? You have... Exactly. You got a big old hunk of chicken inside your throat right now and you're trying to eat the grass over there. But anyways, so wild herons and egrets I've seen come in here. I haven't seen them show any interest in them. But of course, that is what they do eat in the wild. So I haven't seen them yet, but maybe they would. The crocodiles, same thing. You know, I haven't seen anything in there except the bullfrogs, and the same idea with the bullfrogs. They sit right next to them. As long as it doesn't jump right next to their face, they're not really showing much of an interest. But I would not choose to put any of our other animals in here. That would just not be a good idea. Probably get eaten.
Last question today is, what inspires you to do what you are doing?
I get this one a lot, and I think a lot of people, they want like a Hallmark card answer. You know, a lot of people are like, I had this one moment where I had the realization that my life's goal would be to do the... No, I don't have one of those guys. You know, I'm very real with you. I think most people that say that kind of stuff are making it up, honestly. Okay, it's what sounds good. So for me, I've always loved animals. I've always been obsessed with animals since I was a little kid. And I think most little kids are, until it gets beaten out of them by society and by their parents and people that say, that's dumb, you should make money. You know, and that's what everybody does. I think that most little kids, in my experience, that was my first job ever, was doing a nature camp counselor. Every little kid loves animals and is fascinated by nature. I think everybody is, and it literally gets beaten out of them by society telling them like, well, that's stupid, that's dumb. You need to focus on making money and working a 9 to 5 behind a computer for someone else to make them more money and you get peanuts. I ain't about that life. That's not for me. So I've always loved animals. Thankfully, I had parents who were supportive. They don't agree with what I do as far as the dangerous animals. Neither of my parents like that I work with crocodiles and alligators and snakes and stuff, but they've always been supportive. Like, that's what you like, then that's what you should work with, you know? And so I'm very fortunate that I have parents that support that dream. And So I'm like a kid that never grew up. I love animals. And then as I became an adult, it's more of like, I realize I want to dedicate my time, my money, and my effort into trying to make life better for animals, you know? So maybe that's kind of the inspirational moment, is like, you know what? This is what I want to do. I guess one inspirational moment would be like seeing Steve Irwin when I was a kid and being like, not so, it's weird because for me, for Steve Irwin, it was like I was already out doing that stuff without his influence. I was already out catching snakes and frogs and turtles, and I was obsessed with alligators already, even though I was too young to be really doing much with them. But I was obsessed with them already. But what Steve inspired me with is that it could be a career. So I remember being at that point of like, I think it was in high school when I really started to think about it, like, you know, because I was a weird kid. I was a kid that was out catching snakes all day and like taking pictures of alligators and doing all this stuff. And like, you know, my classmates thought I was a weirdo for doing all that kind of stuff. So I felt like a weirdo. And then I saw Steve Irwin and I'm like, oh my God, I'm not a weirdo. That guy feels the same way I do. And he's very successful. So that was a big moment for me, is to see someone else be successful following their passion for animals. That was very inspirational for me, of being like, okay, I don't have to feel bad about my love for animals. I can pursue it, and I can try to be educational about my love for animals and try to make a difference like he is. And he's also, again, successful in making a career out of it. So I didn't have to shy away from that sort of thing. Because again, I feel like so many young people love animals, love nature, and they don't know how to make that work for them. And it is shunned by society because it is seen as a fruitless endeavor because you're not directly benefiting. You know what's benefiting? They are, and your soul is what's benefiting. That's what's important. Don't just chase money. Now, we have to make money to survive, of course. So you might have to have a regular job, but still volunteer and do things that make your soul happy, and your soul is happy in nature. Don't you try to bite my leg, okay? But yeah, so you want to do things that are going to make you happy. And so that could be volunteering with animals on your weekends, or just being out in nature on your weekends, going hiking, doing things that connect you with nature. Don't lose that spark. Do not let the business people, I could see it in your throat. I'm not giving you any more food. But you know, don't let like the suits and whatnot discourage you from, you know, following your dreams and that kind of thing. Bless you again. I was trying to have a really serious heart-to-heart here.
For sure.
He's ruining the moment, Big Mac. I look at the position of his neck. He's got that chicken right here, right now. It's a whole chicken that we gave him, and it's literally right there. And so he's just trying to get that thing down, but he still wants more food.
And you're gonna go after me now, aren't you?
Yeah, look at food. Yeah, look at him. This is what I mean when I tell people, like, they will literally eat till they puke and then still try to eat more. And everybody's like, oh, well, you just keep him well fed so it's safe, right? I'm like, he still wants more, even though it's literally in his throat right now. He wants more, okay? But anyways, back to the inspirational moment here is just understanding that, like, you do have to make money. You do have to have a career, and not everybody can make a career with animals. But even if that is true, you can still spend your weekends, your off time, still communing with nature, still interacting with animals, you know, even just going out and hiking and, you know, this kind of thing. So that's all important stuff. Don't let society and greed beat that passion out of you. That's the take home message I want to get to people, is like, don't let them beat that out of you, because they try to beat it out of me. You know, I remember being in school and people were like, you don't want to go smoke cigarettes behind the Publix? No, bro, I'm going to go catch snakes. I'm going to go look at birds out in nature. Well, that sounds lame. We're going to go be 16-year-olds and go get wasted behind Publix instead. I'm like, good for you. I'm not going to do that. You know, like, people make fun of you for wanting to hang out with animals and be out in nature. And the society should do the opposite. We should make fun of the people who don't like nature, because guess what? You're a part of nature. You're a part of the natural world, and our weird, I don't know, societal push to separate from nature is unnatural, you know? So we want to, again, try to commune with nature in your own way. Not this way, this is dangerous, but in your own way, you know, and be safe out there, guys, and don't let them beat your dreams out of you, you know? And I think that's a good one to end this video on. So if you liked it, leave a comment, let us know. If you have other questions you want to ask, you can put them inside the comments, and then, you know, watch out for when I do one of these, ask me a question things on Instagram. Thanks for watching.